So let's start talking about differential association theory. So on your slide here, it says people learn to commit crime from exposure to antisocial definitions, values, attitudes, and behaviors. So let's just break that down. People learn to commit crime by being exposed to antisocial definitions. So when we talk about antisocial definitions, we're talking about antisocial behavior, behavior that is not appropriate or acceptable according to the norms of our society. And when someone is antisocial, they're more likely to harm other people or take advantage or manipulate others. So crime is a function of a learning process that could affect any individual in any culture. So it doesn't matter what your race is, your class is, your religion, your educational level, whatever. You can become criminal by engaging in interaction with others who are criminal. And I'm not just talking about simple engagement high and by. I'm talking about these are your friends, these are people you care about. And again, we're setting the context of these theories in young people because that's when we're more easily impressed. That's when we're trying to fit in and we're forming identity. So this particular slide is going to combine, or this video is going to combine discussion for the next few slides so that I'm not putting a clip on every single note here. So let's look at this little visual that I included in your discussion today, in the discussion on differential association theory. So here's a scale. And on one side, we have ideas that prohibit crime, meaning you're trying to prevent crime from happening. If you have these kind of ideas or this value system, you're less likely to be criminal. Then on the other side, we have ideas that justify crime. So let's just look at some of the statements that fit either side. So if we look at the statements that fit ideas that prohibit crime, we're saying that we should play fair. We shouldn't be a bully. We should forgive and forget. Turn the other cheek. Evil is always punished. Crime doesn't pay. That's another way of looking at that. And honesty is the best policy. So if you're raised with parents that tell you this, that tell you to play fair, don't be a bully, turn the other cheek, be forgiving, and your friends have the same value system, then chances are you won't engage in criminal behavior. But let's look at the other side. Let's look at some ideas that justify crime. Drinking is okay. And we're not talking about adults drinking. I'm talking about kids turning up and getting lit. You're too young to be drinking, but you do it anyway. The end justifies the means, okay? So if you're one of those people that say, hey, I don't care how you get there, as long as you get there, that's all that matters, right? I don't get mad, I get even. So being vindictive, being petty, being retaliatory, that's a good thing. Don't let anyone push you around. People should take drugs if they want to. They have a hedonistic view of human behavior. Hey, if it feels good, do it, So this gives you an idea of some of the statements that fit people who prohibit or forbid the commission of crime versus those that justify it and engage in deviant or criminal behavior. So let's go to the next slide and look very quickly at the principles of differential association. So the first, criminal behavior is learned as a byproduct of interacting with others. If you're interacting with people, with friends or family members that engage in criminal behavior and you admire them and you want to fit in with them, then you learn to be criminal also. Usually when I lecture on this, I include a video at the end of the lecture, and I might still include that video clip about Albert DeSalvo, who was accused of being a Boston Strangler. One of the interesting things about Albert DeSalvo's background is that his father was a B&E artist. He was also sadistically abusive of Albert DeSalvo's mother. It was an occasion that Albert DeSalvo described, he and his brother Frank, in interviews, described the father bringing home prostitutes and having sex with a prostitute in the home while his wife and children were present. He beat the wife. A lot of times he beat Albert DeSalvo's mother. He would take her hand and bend back her fingers until every single finger broke. So Albert DeSalvo was exposed to misogynistic, woman-hating behavior from a very young age. And his father also, when he would break into businesses and homes to steal and rob, he would take Albert DeSalvo with him when he was very young. He'd be 6 or 7 years old, and he would be teaching him how to break into a building and use Albert to get through small windows to enter a building illegally. So he learned these types of behavior very young. Learning criminal behavior occurs within intimate personal groups. So I just explained to you or described to you how Albert DeSalvo was influenced to be a deviant by his father, who was deviant. So these are people you care about. These are people you have a level of intimacy with and regard for, high regard for. So these are people that matter, and because they matter, you want to please them. Learning criminal behavior involves assimilating the techniques of committing crime. So again, you're assimilated into the techniques of committing crime. Your criminal friends are teaching you the tricks of the trade, so to speak. They're teaching you how to break the law and get away with it. Aspects of legal code are viewed favorably or unfavorably by different members of society. So depending on who you are, you either have respect and regard for the rule of law, or you disdain it, or you reject it. Those that disobey are admired. So within this group of deviant and criminal friends, you break the law, you get respect.